Hi, we're Brett and Paige Gehren from the Africa Lodges, and we're here today to chat to you about what luxury ecotourism is in Africa.
So I suppose the first question is, what is an ecotourist? And an ecotourist is someone that's looking for a unique wildlife, wilderness, nature experience and wants to get away from the crowds, I suppose, and wants to engage with their environment. And it's also someone that wants more than just to be on a sort of a armchair tourist, I suppose. They want to get involved. They want to know about the communities. They want to get involved in the communities. They want to see the communities around the nature destinations, and they want to give back. They want to feel like they are contributing and making a difference. Yeah, I don't know, Paige, if you think that ecotourists have changed over time, if there's still the definition.
Yes, Brett, I would definitely say that the ecotourist has changed from a safari traveller who would really arrive in Africa and want to tick off the big five or the small five. And there would certainly be an amount of explaining and understanding of ecosystems. But as time has gone on, an ecotourist has evolved into a responsible traveller. And really what he wants to know is what impact his visit is going to have on the country he's visiting, the African country. Is there, the camp that he's visiting, is there solar? How do the communities benefit? Do you use plastic bottles? At your beach lodges, are your foods ethically harvested, specifically your seafoods? At your game lodges, do you assist in conservation projects? Do you truly engage with rural communities? How much, to what extent, how much do you spend, the rand value, etc. He wants an honest, authentic experience. He's here to really, he wants to know that his stay has benefited communities in a very significant way.
Yeah, I think that's you got it right there. So basically they want to know that wherever they're visiting and whatever they're doing is sustainable. I think also what's important on the topic today is then what I suppose defines a luxury ecotourist. And to me, and I think we both agree, luxury in ecotourism is not about the fluffy pillows and the thick piled carpets. It's about having lots of space to yourself. And when I say that, I mean you'll be taken to areas where there are very few other people around. You'll be given a individual experience, a unique experience, and it'll be very fulfilling. And I think that's what the luxury is. So it is expensive. However, the value is not in all the frills. It's about having these open spaces and wilderness and nature with just a handful of people sharing it.
I would definitely agree with that. I think the ecotourist traveller wants to experience a sense of place. So he doesn't want to be on a tar road, or certainly the luxury ecotourist traveller doesn't want to be on a tar road with loads of other vehicles or on a very busy snorkeling reef. He's paying to really have a sense of place. And at Isibindi we always do what we say is a considered space. So our camps very much take into account the environment, what's around us, what's important, so as not to over dramatize our settings or overbuild. We try and keep nature as really the primary architect. And as the luxury ecotourist traveller is paying to stay in exceptional places, at the same time there comes a sense of responsibility with that he wants to understand the communities that live around these areas.
Yeah, and I think also what's really important with ecotourism, and I suppose specifically in Africa, is that there is conservation and community benefit from the tourism ventures, and that the ecotourist feels and is aware of the part that they are playing in making conserved areas and conservation areas sustainable. And the only way they can be sustainable is if the communities are getting direct benefit, and that benefit can come in numerous different forms and shapes. And I think Paige understands sort of the benefits and how we interact with our communities more clearly.
I think a lot of our travellers come from cities, so they arrive in our different wilderness areas, and their senses are awakened on game drives, canoes, snorkeling or diving underwater, going on game drives in forest walks, on boats and lakes. So there's very much a heightened sense of their place in the world, and with that comes an understanding of a responsibility. And I think at Isibindi we place a massive onus on our community tours. So a lot of our guests that visit our lodges will go and do a community tour in an area, our neighbouring areas, which are about 20 to 25 minutes away. And they'll spend a few hours there, and they'll engage with the communities in a way that they would not normally have, just visiting a game lodge or a beach lodge or a lake lodge. And it's so interesting because a lot of the feedback that we receive afterwards is the food's great and the place is great and the walk was brilliant, but it's coming through more and more strongly how this interaction with communities is really life-changing, it's profound. And it's often listed as the most important thing on this day.
Yeah, I think people are quite surprised that they generally come to our lodges for the nature wildlife experience, but once they get immersed in the community side and the cultural aspect, and they meet all our staff who are largely from local communities, they are very surprised at how touching that can be. And just going and sitting with some young kids at the close by school, or speaking to a koko or a granny nearby at her home. These communities are generally quite poor, they're quite remote, and they've got very little in sort of physical terms. They have very simple lives, and yet they are very content. And I think people are quite surprised at the simplicity of their lives, and yet there is this huge happiness with that simplicity. And I think that really impacts on people. I think an example also of the kind of impact that ecotourism can have is at Tonga Beach Lodge. There's a very small community there, 3,500 people, and it's quite an isolated community. And the whole community goes to one school, so the whole community is educated. Their first 7 years of education is at one school, and this school is largely neglected by government, and it's quite run down. And Paige, I think you can just tell us what we're doing at that school and the kind of impact it can have on a community.
It's a wonderful little school, but it's very badly resourced, being in such a remote area. And we're paying for 3 extra teachers. We have specialised facilitators who come from Durban and advise us, make sure that the reading material and the books, etc., are all up to date. We are about to start placing a new roof on the school. We've improved sports. We've got a whole lot of things in the pipeline at the moment to improve the sports. But there certainly is. It's the impact our guests have made on the school, the changes that is actually a result of our guests is quite enormous. And we find it's not just communities, there's also conservation. Guests want to contribute to projects. So we've had guests contributing to the Wild Dog Project. We've had guests equipping our anti-poaching units. We've had guests donating towards turtle research, improving many of our schools. We established a foundation, the Isibindi Foundation, because we wanted to collate all our work and put it under one umbrella and really just improve our reach on the benefits flowing to the communities. And a very small example would be that something that can make such a difference is that we replaced our chocolates on our pillows, our turned down chocolates, with a note to guests to say that the funds for this would now proceed to our school feeding program. And as a result of a guest not receiving a tiny little chocolate on their pillow, we've managed to raise almost 100,000 Rand a year that goes towards the school feeding programs.
Yeah, so I think going back to ecotourism, it's very much about the communities. And then I suppose the other part of the question is what is luxury ecotourism in Africa? So what makes visiting Africa different to an ecotourist anywhere else in the world? And I think, Africa is an amazing place. We are passionate about it. We love it. We spend all our holidays in Africa, and it's really about the passion, the romance, and it touches all the senses. So Africa's obviously got the big five and the wilderness and the space. So I think that's one of the differentiators. It's got amazing people in these remote areas that are so hospitable and often in dire need of assistance. So ecotourists can make a substantial difference to these communities. And it's about touching and feeling the environment around you. I think what else does Africa offer that is quite unique?
And also really ensuring the survival of protected areas. Some of the areas we work in which may not, certainly don't receive the resources they should receive. And I think in engaging with our communities and engaging with the conservation authorities, in many ways we are ensuring the survival of that wild place.
Yeah, so it is. It's about the sustainability of these precious places and the critical role that a luxury ecotourist makes to this, because they do pay top dollar to be in these remote areas, but part of that is going back to communities and the conservation areas. So they really are pivotal in the survival of wildlife, wilderness, nature, and the upliftment of communities in many parts of Africa.
Thank you for listening to us.